What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm coming at you with sort of a video talking about decks post Power of the Elements. As we all know, Power of the Elements brings some crazy powerful decks in the form of Spright, which is now the official TCG name, and Tearalements, which is now their official TCG name. Konami this week has been releasing, sort of updates for Power of the Elements, letting us know what's going on, and I think this week we get pack openings, which will tell us more rarities and the cards in the set, so that's very cool. But today, I just wanted to talk about decks that I am going to be personally trying post Power of the Elements, and decks you guys yourself can try out that maybe are different than just regular Spright and Tearalements that we know are going to be super good. So I'm going to go over a couple of those today and sort of talk about them. I won't be going over the very obvious ones like Spright or Tearalements, like those are everywhere, everyone knows those are going to be amazing. And yeah, so I guess more or less talking about what decks from our current format are going to push into the next format, not counting a ban list, because a ban list will likely be coming in about, I want to say, a month from this point. I know like one of the sites said December, but most people are assuming that the December thing was not true, it was a typo. But yeah, outside of a ban list, which decks do we have now that are pushing into the next format, and what new decks can you play post Power of the Elements? So without further ado, let's get into this video. Although I do want to mention, Discord link down below, as always, if you want to follow the channel more closely. And I am still trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So if you do like this Yu-Gi-Oh content, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps me in what I do here on the channel. So going into the first deck I want to talk about, one of my favorites for sure, is a deck I've been, trying to play since January, and I played it for a couple weeks, but it's not getting its crazy support until Power of the Elements, and that is Exo Sister. And of course, this is the list I'm currently working with. This list changes all the time. Do not take this as like a deck profile for, amazing Exo Sister list. I do think this is what most of our Exo Sister lists are gonna look like though, so this could be a deck profile in my opinion. Just a couple of tech choices and changes I might make. Again, I'm not gonna structure this like a deck profile. We're sort of talking about Malfa. She is the brand new card from Power of the Elements, and her effect is here on screen if you don't know what she does. Essentially, she is what puts Exo Sister on the map. Like, just herself is so powerful, giving you like an extender the deck never had, a full play on its own the deck never had, the most powerful search off packs that the deck never had. She does a lot for the deck, and just her being here really bumps Exo Sister up an entire tier. She also has a really good her like on-field effect, better than the other ones, because with every other Exo Sister, your opponent has to move a card out of the graveyard. For Malfa, you could like DD Crow their card and still like Zodiac Xyz on top of her, so Malfa is what puts Exo Sister on the map. But they also get this really cool card, Latanya, or however they're going to pronounce that, whatever the translation is going to be. This card's insane. Essentially, you pay 800, and this is like your other alternative to just searching Vadis or whatever. You can get Latanya, and this thing is a powerhouse because it can essentially be a double banish, like 1 on field, 1 in grave, or 2 on field, which is huge against Spright because their whole objective is sticking a level 2, and if you can stop them from sticking a level 2, you can effectively shut off their turn. And Exo Sister are very good post Power of the Elements because they have such a fair matchup into Spright. It's not like the best thing in the world, but it's not bad. And a really good matchup into Tearalements in the form of a Sophiel down here is just the Tearalement destroyer. And then D-Shifter in the main because this deck can play it, right? So Nibiru is something I'm not so sure about. We don't know how good Nibiru is going to be at the start of next format. Spright have a billion ways to play around it, and I don't know if it's going to be great versus Tearalement either. So I'm not sure Nibiru is going to stay here. This could be any 3 flex spots. I do still like this for our format, Carpe Divum. It's not something you see in a lot of Exo Sister lists. This card is super powerful, and it's an out to Mystic Mine. So as long as Mystic Mine is in our format, I will be playing one of this. I think this card is actually insane, so I really like this card. But yeah, this is sort of like the list I'm working with. Obviously, I don't have a side deck built yet. However, you might notice this Black Ship of Corn. You might not have seen this since, I don't know, Agent format, Dino Rabbit format. That was the last time this card was seeing a good amount of play. If you're not aware what it does, the most important things here are the fact that it can inflict 1000 damage by sending an opponent's monster to grave, which means going second. It's a very good time win condition, which is nice. I mean, like, you have time win conditions in Exo Sister naturally, but this one, if you have to pay 800, this burns 1,000, which would put you 200 up. And then, more importantly, it's a dark with over 2,000 attack, and Deck Devastation Virus is going to be absolutely amazing against like the Spright matchup. So having a rank 4 you could tribute with Deck Devi is something I'm considering. Essentially, you tribute a dark monster with 2,000 more attack, and then all monsters your opponent controls or in their hand with 1,500 or less attack are destroyed. That is everything in the Spright deck. They will all just go to grave, essentially saying if you do not have exactly Spright starter, your turn is over. So if you have Deck Devi plus Ash, you just win, essentially. You know, it's not as cut and dry as that, but that's why I'm testing this Black Ship of Corn as well. I think Black Ship of Corn and Deck Devastation Virus could be good. I'm still liking Prosperity in here. I think everything else is pretty cut and dry, like Armaments ratio might change, but that is going to be it for Exo Sister. The next one I want to talk about is Evil Twin, but not this Evil Twin. This is a more standard Evil Twin. This is actually, I think, my last deck profile list, if you wanted a sneak peek at that. There we go, Spright Twins. So this, I know I said we weren't going to go over Spright, and I was more or less talking about the pure version, because for me, this isn't like Spright in here because I want to play Spright and I think Evil Twin is the best version of them. That's not the case. I want to play Evil Twin and I think Spright is the best version of them. So essentially the deck is going to change drastically, and this is what I've been testing with. I think the list is super solid. I've been doing some testing, mostly test hands, and I think this deck is pretty insane. Is it better? Is it the best version of Spright? I don't personally think so, but I guess time will tell. I think Deep Sea Diva's insane. I know Nimble Beaver is pretty good. And Pure is also very nice because you get to play just an absurd amount of hand traps. But one thing about the Evil Twin version, especially when it comes to the TCG format, is we still have Scythe, and I think Twins are one of the best Scythe variants of Spright. Essentially, you can do full Spright combo and then end with Twin stuff, which is an additional draw plus a pop, and you can Scythe them, which is absolutely insane. So currently I'm running like 2 Lila and 2 Kiss-a-Kill. I've seen a lot of older variants where they were just running 3 of each of these and then none of the extenders, but I opted to run 1 Kiss-a-Kill extender and 1 Lila extender with 3 Snitch. I really like this because it helps with some hand traps on your Twin engine, and then I think Sunny Snitch is one of the biggest payoffs for the Twin deck. Like, I absolutely think this card is so broken. The 200 gain and 200 loss, the 400 life point gap per summon, it's a game-winning effect. Like, it's actually insane. So getting to play this means essentially our Twin package is 9 cards, and we have 7 1-card starters. And these work with your Spright engine, right? Like, these aren't bricks like they are in Twins, because if you draw Frost plus Blue, I mean, you have combo there. And this is also Aqua, so randomly enough, it can make one of your Toads. So I think that's really nice. I think this is a pretty standard Spright package. No Smashers. I don't have much testing with the deck, but it just felt like another, like, with the Frost, the Treat, the Ronin Totem, and Smashers, it felt like a lot of one-off bricks and the Scythe. So you'll notice I also don't have a Dupe Frog for the Swap Frog package. When you're running the Twin stuff, you know, Dupe Frog is usually here to protect your Elf from being run over, but with Twins you have a pop with Lila, so you can sort of protect it that way. So I'm deciding not to run the Dupe Frog for now. And then just a ton of flex spots, right? Like, that's what makes Spright so good, is it's an actual super powerful engine that can play through hand traps. And then it can run as many hand traps as Evil Twin, right? So, I mean, less than pure Evil Twin for sure, but, like, it's still there, right? So the extra deck is still being tested, but I think 3 Kiss-a-Kill, 2 Lila, and 1 Trouble Sunny is probably what it's going to end up being. Personally, that's what I think, because Trouble Sunny being at 1 might look weird, but because of Gigantic Spright and Spright Starter, you are going to be locked out of your Trouble Sunny very often. So she comes up on turn 3, and she can also come out with, like, the new spell. Can I get that to pop up? Yes, here it is. Trouble Sunny is amazing with this card. So you can send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, target a monster your opponent controls with the same card type. In this case, it'd be a Link. And you shuffle into the deck, and your opponent cannot respond with monster effects to this card, like a Dark Ruler. It's a very, very powerful form of removal. I definitely expect this to be a secret rare in Power of the Elements. Yeah, like, this card's insane. And it's really good with Trouble Sunny. Like, people are playing in their side decks 1 Trouble Sunny and 1 Evil Twin Brick, I noticed, which is hilarious to me. But it's just for this card, so yeah, that's something that might be in this side deck. I'm testing a bunch of weird things over here. I know Almirage is for making Swap Frog like a 1-card starter in the deck. Lingeribo, I think, is something the Twin version of this deck could actually get to play, which I think is really cool. because if you only need like one twin, or you had like twin and then an extender, you can turn one of them into a Lingribo first, and then go for your Spright stuff protected from traps or imperms or anything like that. I don't think having this in your extra monster zone is going to come up and hurt you, but I'll have to do more testing with that. Dagdas for the twin stuff, and I think 2, 2, and 2 makes a lot of sense. Probably can get away with one Toad. I mean, the OCG did it forever, but I mean, we have multiple Toads, so I'm testing it out at 2. That is sort of the second deck I want to talk about with Spright Twin. I mean, it's nothing new per se. Like, this is just my take on it for now with very limited testing. Evil Twin have been known for months that they were going to be good with Spright, so nothing crazy here. Again, one Cosmic for Mystic Mine as well. Like, we're in the TCG format. It's not banned like the OCG, so we need to play outs. And then the next deck, I don't know if I have it right here or I need to build it. Please tell me I have it. You would think I do. Oh my goodness. Alright guys, we're gonna have to build a deck real quick. Alright guys, didn't have to build the deck. I realized it is here on my YouTube video, and this is still sort of the list I would run. I'm gonna mention some things I would change. We're obviously not on DB anymore. I'm looking at an older YouTube video. And this is Rika, which also gets massive support after Power of the Elements. Now, I do want to preface this. Is Rika some meta contender that is going to break the format? No, but this is the best Rika has ever been, and I think the deck actually is pretty decent. I think it's definitely like a tier 2-ish, maybe rogue-ish, you know, contender. Definitely more on the rogue side now that I'm thinking about it. It won't be, because a lot of our really good decks now are going to be considered tier 2, so I think this will lean into more of the rogue category. But some of these cards are insane, so like you look at this list here, I don't think much is changing. I haven't thought too much with this list recently, but it's just like you have one card starters in, I almost said Marincess, in Rika now. And it has like a couple of extending packages. It can just play like a really good sort of grind. It also runs the Black Ship of Corn, which can be for deck devastation. Now, one issue with this deck is it's not like Exo Sister, where it got, or it has the ability to play cards like D-Shifter, right? Which are innately super powerful. And it's not like the engine lines up to counter decks like the Exo Sister engine. I think Exo Sister have proven themselves to be a very good deck going after Power of the Elements. Rika is definitely more on the rogue tier, but I still want to talk about it because it's a favorite of mine. So, gonna go back to Dueling Book and talk sort of about the new Rika cards if you are unaware. So the new one, the new field spell is Rika Arrival, and it's if you control a Rika monster, you can set a Rika spell or trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap card zone. Then you're locked into plants, which as we've seen is fine. One thing I want to mention about Rika stuff is I do think there's a chance that the Sun Avalon package will be able to play in the deck. Now, the problem is I don't think you'll be able to go for Lilybora into Regulus because this hard locks you into plants, but some of the Sun Avalon stuff I think will work in Rika, so that needs to be tested. But you're locked into plants after you use this, but this can of course set your Glamour or your Tranquility or Sheet, which is very good, but not Flurries. Going back to Arrival, here's one of the best effects past being just a starter. Once returned, if you attribute a plant monster to activate a Rika card effect, you contribute one face-up monster your opponent controls instead of that. So to activate Sheet or Tranquility, I think Tranquility is a very good card to use this example for. Against a matchup like Spright, right? If they normal summon a Spright monster, you need to out it. Like, let's say it is, I don't know, any generic level 2 that I guess isn't blue or jet unless you hand trapped it. And then it works this way. But you contribute their monster to activate Tranquility, and that is tough for Spright. Again, the name of the game against that deck is making sure they do not stick a level 2. So, or like Sheet is a really good example as well, because you can like also take their monsters. So like against Spright Twins in particular, you can like tribute their Lilla and then take their Kiss-a-Kill and you put them off of a level 2, right? So that's really nice. I think this card is insane, but this is honestly the most powerful card Rika got is Rika Snow Princess. And during the main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you are locked into plants. So, wow, oh wow, this is in the face-up monster zone. I knew that previously, but it's been a while since I read this card. So this one doesn't hard lock you, which is nice. It's just the field spell to set, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, here's the real ringer. When your opponent activates a monster effect while you control a Rika monster, you can shuffle this card from your hand or graveyard into the deck and tribute one plant monster to negate that effect. This is insane because essentially you combo with this card and then it's a Griffin, it's like a wandering Griffin rider from your graveyard. Like, I think the fact that this is a hand trap and it's a hand trap in grave. I think that's insane. Like, the fact that this can negate from graveyard is really unique, and like there's not many cards that do that. Like, we know there's another Snow in particular that comes back from graveyard as an interrupt, but there aren't many graveyard interrupts like this card, and I think that's really nifty. I mean, you just Foolish Burial this card potentially, and you have a monster negate, so that's really huge. I think giving this deck a monster negate that can help you play through Nibiru, as well as be a very good extender for the deck, alongside this, what am I trying to say, Field Spell, it's really good. I think these are very strong options for Rika as well. So if you were looking for a more roguish option that can still compete past Power of the Elements, maybe for your locals, I think Rika is a super good option. And that is going to be the last deck I want to talk about in this video. I guess to mention some of the things I said earlier, with like what decks are coming up, you know, outside of a ban list, I still think like all the Brave stuff is still going to be fine. Like Punk, Brave, Emergency Teleport, that stuff is still going to be very good even past Power of the Elements. Like, I know Spright and Tearalements are very powerful. I know Exo Sister is very good. That doesn't mean what we've been playing with is weak by any means. I think our version of Dragon Link, our version of, you know, Punk, Pepega Ruler nonsense is still going to be powerful. Will it be the best deck? You know, that time will tell. I think Spright has lined itself up to be, you know, very, very strong. But I do think, like, those decks will keep going. I think our Despia is still very powerful. I do think Dinomorphia is a deck that can continue. Marincess are definitely going to have a harder time because they're more fair. But yeah, I think we have a lot of decks now that will still continue into Power of the Elements up until the point of a ban list, and then we'll have to see, right? But, you know, we went over 3 new decks you can definitely try past Power of the Elements. I guess Evil Twin Spright isn't new, and neither is Rika, and neither is Exo Sister, but they got new support, and that's what matters. So, yep, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of Power of the Elements. What are you looking for? What decks do you want to play that are not Spright and Tearalements? I know everyone is looking forward to those. What are the more interesting decks you guys want to play? So leave that down below. I'll be sure to read them. And this has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.